You know, back during that time, we had real neighborhoods, I think, to say that we don't really have anymore. All of us kids, we'd wander from one neighborhood to the next, and you know, we had friends all over town at that point. But it just doesn't seem to be the same anymore. But it was overall, it was great childhood coming up like that. Well, I grew up hunting and fishing on all these waterways and everything around here, and I had friends in school that we would go do a lot of that, and I always had a great time doing that. But in school, all of the activities, going to the ball games, and then later on, as we were of age or whatever, going over to the beach, going to the Plantation Lounge over there and having a big time on the weekends. Yeah, different things. You know, just bumming around as much as we had to do in this little small town, but it was always fun. Everybody kind of dressed in red and white, you know, the school colors and everything, and we'd have pep rallies and things of that nature on maybe Thursday night and Fridays, and then everybody go to the game on Friday night, you know, especially the home games and everything. But everybody had real pride in their teams, and of course, you know, it was all of our classmates that were playing on the teams, basketball, football, baseball, what have you. But we had a lot of pride then. I worked for a guy that sold produce, and I delivered produce for him to a bunch of stores and everything, all up and down the beach and Georgetown, Andrews, different areas. But I don't remember. They may have back prior to me being in high school, but I don't remember if they did or not when I was in school. I can't remember one, to tell you the truth. I remember the baseball team was pretty good back in high school, and they did well. I can't remember about the football game, and some of the basketball. We had some good basketball players too. Had some good basketball games, but as far as championships, I don't remember for sure. We had it when I was in school. I don't know that they do that now, but we did, you know, when we were in school.
So what was that like?
It was fun. It was, you know, really competitive and everything. I mean, it was all in good sport, but we enjoyed it. I mean, it was a fun time during the year when that took place. But and you know, everybody that could participate did participate. You know, and it was good. It was fun. Hang out. We used to go over and we'd be in the park a lot of times, and we'd play basketball and stuff at different people's houses and everything. We'd be over at Willowbank Park a lot of the times with a lot of kids that over there from Willowbank and around Riceland area where the Presbyterian Church is, where a lot of them grew up. But yeah, we just hung out and we had a good time. Yes, I kind of left part of that out, but yes, we did do some of that. We did do some of the Whistling Pig back in the day, too. No, I did not. I wasn't old enough to go to the pavilion at that point. It burned down in like 1970, maybe something like that, and in '71, the Plantation Lounge had opened up, and that's kind of where we went, that were in my class. But Well, we were more independent, I think, than they are now. Even starting as young as grammar school, I can remember walking to school when I was in the second grade, maybe the first grade, but the second grade for sure, because I do remember walking to school, to Bynum School, all the way from my house, and it wasn't just around the corner. I mean, it was a few blocks away, but kids just don't do that anymore. I mean, there are safety concerns and things like that, and I understand things change, but we were a lot more independent then, and I think it's a good thing that we were. I mean, I think it taught us some valuable lessons, but anyway, it's different the way you have to raise a child now.
Where did you live?
I lived on High Market Street, you know where CO Agency is.
Yes.
That's where I grew up. Most of the time I did. Most of the time I did. You know, when later on in high school, you know, we'd always catch a ride or something like that. But I still didn't live far from the high school at that point, so I walked to school mainly. That's a kind of hard one.
Sorry. Your mother?
My mother had a lot of influence. I was getting ready to say my mother had a lot of influence on me, at home and at school. Like I said before, she taught me in the 6th grade at Kensington Elementary School, and I didn't think I was going to make it through that, and I wouldn't wish it on anybody else. But yeah, you know, and admittedly so, she would be the one that had the most influence over me for sure. High school, I can't. I can't even remember some of my teachers at that point. I know junior high, maybe Miss Teeny Campbell was my English teacher, and she was a very, very strict and good teacher, and I guess she was one of my favorites. So really. Typical, go to the lunchroom, get your lunch, go hang out in front of the school and shoot the breeze with the rest of your friends because you weren't in class at that point. Typical. Just, that was it. I never carried lunch. But we couldn't even, you know, back then, it's not like it is now. I mean, kids get to leave and go to McDonald's or wherever they want to go to lunch now, and we had to stay on campus for it. I mean, you got in trouble if you went off campus. I don't know. One of them, he lives in Charleston, or down in, I guess it's Charleston, yeah. But he and I grew up together from, I mean, when we were real small, and we used to hang out a lot together, and we'd go fishing, hunting. We roomed for a short time at Carolina together. So we used to do everything together. We used to do a lot of things, and and most of it had to do with outdoors type activities. But yeah, that was probably one of my best friends, and still is to this day. But
what's his name?
Jimmy King. You know, there was a detention hall. You know, I ended up in it maybe once, maybe. Once, twice, or something. I really wasn't that bad in school. You know, just I knew I was going to get it at home if I did something wrong at school. So I kind of kept my nose clean in the class. But anyway. We used to call it junior, senior back then. Of course, they called it prom, but yeah, I went to junior, senior, yeah. we didn't have so many dances like they did. They used to have them at the rec center back in the 60s and everything, in the late 60s. But we didn't have so much of that. And we went, like I said, we'd go to the Plantation Lounge and dance on the weekends or whatever. But that was the extent of that, mainly. In the gym, and we, if you were a junior and you had to put on for the senior class. So all of us juniors built the set, did whatever the theme was. We had to go work and get all the stuff together and then decorate for it. But yeah, it was all fun. All fun. No, I didn't. Not really. I had a lot of girlfriends, and I was friendly with a lot of the girls and everything, but I never did really date that much in high school. Work, water skiing, mainly work. That was about it. Yeah.
Did you ever end up over at the beach a lot?
Oh, a lot. Oh, we did a lot of that. But I mean, there's during the day you worked, and then at night you'd go over to the beach or whatever, or on the weekends you'd go to the beach. Did a lot of that. And on the water in the rivers and water skiing, like I said, and yeah, we had a good time, Well, spring break for us wasn't anything but Easter. I mean, and I think we got off on Friday and Monday, I think, and then we had to be back in school on Tuesday. So we didn't get the whole week like the kids get now or whatever. But sometimes we'd have our spring break or whatever. They'd have house party or something, get a beach house or something like that, and go over there and hang out. But basically, that was it. I was sad to see it. That the rest of the kids didn't get to, that were behind us didn't get to go to it, and they weren't Winyah Gators at that point. After that, I mean, they changed it for better or for worse. But yeah, I hated to see the old building go. I mean, it was a place we had a whole lot of memories there and everything. And my mother was there graduated from there in 1939. So I mean, it's it holds a lot of memories there. But yeah, I mean, it affected most of us that went there. I guess anytime you lose a classmate, you lose a friend. That's probably some of the saddest times that we ever had. I remember Robert Walker. Of course, this was after high school, but Robert Walker passed away. He was a friend of all of ours in our circle there, and I know there were a couple of others. There was one, Steve Coursey. He was a minister's son that got run over, and he died prior to being it was in our junior high, I think. But that affected a good many people too. I mean, he was well liked and everything. But those were the sad times, But. My child was homeschooled for the most part. She played tournament tennis, and her schedule she had to be gone a lot. So I wish she would have been able to have more of a brick and mortar school experience. That way she would have been able to socialize a lot more with friends. Not saying she didn't socialize, but it's not the same. You're in class with all these people. you see them outside of class and everything, and it's a little different, and that's what I think is well, it was a lot different in my case anyway. But I always thought it was good to be social. I'm still social. I'm a social animal, and I was back then. You know, everybody tries to put a spin on it, but my last name is Dean, and I'm 67 now, and I've had that nickname for 62 years. In my neighborhood where I grew up, they started calling me Butterbean Dean. It stuck. And so that's what I go by now. My wife even calls me that. The people at work call me that. I worked for the Department of Revenue. They'd call me from Columbia now, but I need to speak to Butterbean. Everybody knew me as Butterbean and still does. There are a few that still call me David. Rod calls me David, but he also knows me as Butterbean too. So, yeah, it stuck. It stuck. But we had nicknames for everybody in the neighborhoods back then. So, some of them were not so nice.